scoot back, please? Just a little. Just scoot back for me a little.
Dave Scanlon, Secretary of State. Nice
Thank
to see
you
you
for
too.
having me. I appreciate
Welcome.
it. Of
Yeah,
course.
great to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
Excuse me.
Come on,
Could y'all
come on
scoot
in.
back,
Thank you
please?
for letting us
Thank
barge
you.
into your office.
Oh, sorry.
So, this is one of the original pieces of Statehouse furniture from the early 1800s. It's a tradition that we bring in here for presidential candidates to sign their declaration.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Nice piece of tradition. So, formal part of this is sign your declaration of candidacy. And then we have your check, so that's great. And then there's just one other document
Guys, please stop pushing.
Everybody's pushing forward.
and this is a tradition for the presidential candidates. This is a notice to voters form that we post at every polling place. And we take one copy and ask the presidential candidates to just write a brief message to the voters of New Hampshire and then sign it.
Does it matter where?
Anywhere you want. And then I'm sure the press would love to know what you wrote.
I wrote, let's do this. Yes. Thank you. Do you want me to do it right here? Okay, so we're just going to do the press conference from here. We'll go ahead and start it.
Hey, Ambassador.
You're right. What separates you from other candidates on the trail in New Hampshire? And also, why shouldn't New Hampshire Republicans follow a line around the former president?
I mean, first of all, I have been a chief executive. I have been a governor. I know how to deal with bureaucracy. I know how to lead it. I've also been in the foreign policy world. I dealt with China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Israel, the Palestinians every day for 2 years. Every day, not a couple of times a year, every day. I know the threats that face us in the world, and I know what it takes to keep Americans safe. And I think people are ready for a new generational conservative leader. We feel the momentum on the ground in Iowa. We feel it in New Hampshire. We feel it in South Carolina. And we're going to work hard to earn every single Granite Stater's vote.
Hey, Ambassador, since the terrorist attack, you've been talking about the need for moral clarity in leadership. You worked for the front runner in this race. We've heard his comments this week. Does he have moral clarity?
The problem is, I mean, this is what I've been saying. When I say we need a new generational leader, and we have to leave the baggage and the negativity and the chaos of the past, you look at what's happening now. What do we have? We've got Democrat chaos with inflation. We've got it with the lack of transparency in the classrooms. We've got it with open borders. We've got it with crime on our streets. And now we've got it with threats around the world. You don't fix Democrat chaos with Republican chaos. He is so focused on the past. He keeps talking about him, and he keeps talking about, you know, headlines of the past. We need someone that's looking forward. We can't afford a President Kamala Harris, and if you keep living in the past, that's what Americans will get.
But does he have the moral clarity to lead right now?
Well, I think to go and give credit to Hezbollah, to go and congratulate the Chinese Communist Party like he did, and to go and criticize the head of a country who just saw massive bloodshed. No, that's not what we need in a president. What we need in a president is someone who knows the difference between good and evil, who knows the difference between right and wrong. I'm going to work hard to make sure every American is kept safe, and I'm going to work hard to make sure we have the facts for our own.
Do you find it ironic that Indians are taking over America?
How will you
Do you find it ironic that Indians are taking over America?
Ambassador,
Do you find it ironic that Indians are taking over
there are
America?
going to be millions of people
I was wondering if you
in
found it
Gaza
ironic
who are
that Indians were
innocent
taking
and
over America.
She's asking. I'm not going to answer any questions.
She's going to call on you.
I am calling on this person. She's the only one I'm going to talk to. If the rest of you talk, we can't answer any questions.
I just want to know your response, given your facts as the UN ambassador to what's happening in Gaza. What would you do to help innocent civilians who are going to be caught in the crossfire? And what would you do with the border in Egypt that is not, they're not letting people from Gaza in?
So I think if you look at the fact that, the last thing we want to see is more innocent lives lost. That's not what we want to see. I have been on the ground. I've been on the border of Gaza. I've been on the border of Lebanon. I've seen the missiles that are facing, the rockets facing Israel. I've been in the tunnels, and I saw in those tunnels where they hide equipment, where they hide ammunition, where they hide hostages, where they hide before they try and inflict pain. And I know how sophisticated they are. And where do they put these tunnels? They put them under schools. They put them under hospitals because they know that Israelis value human life. And so they do whatever it takes to make sure that happens. Now we're dealing with a situation where we're looking at a ground game. I think Israel is right to want to eliminate Hamas. They have proven they don't deserve to exist on this earth, and we need to keep doing that. Having said that, what did Israel do? Once again, value human life, dropped flyers telling everybody to get out. And what's Hamas doing? Saying, no, stay. It doesn't mean anything. You could stay. Why does Hamas do that? Hamas does that because they want innocent civilians to die. They want to put it on Israel that innocent civilians died. And Egypt, if Egypt cares so much about these Palestinians, they should open up the avenues to get these innocent Palestinians out. But what we're going to see is we're going to see the fact that we can no longer have Hamas exist. Let's not forget that there would be no Hamas without Iran, and we need to make sure that we finish this.
What is your pathway to beating Trump in this primary?
Well, first of all, I'll say what we've done right now. We've done over 100 events in Iowa and New Hampshire. That doesn't count all the events we've done in South Carolina. We're touching every hand. We're shaking every hand. We're answering every question. I'm the last person to leave, and we are working hard to show them not what the problems are in America, but what the solutions are in America. And what we're going to do is we're going to fight to earn every single person's vote. Why are we getting the momentum we're getting? It's because we are identifying with real people. We know that they're feeling inflation in the grocery store and the gas pump. I'm an accountant. I know what we need to do to get that back on track. We know that they're feeling crime on the streets. We need to have the backs of our law enforcement. We know that they want transparency in the classroom. As a mom, I know parents have one job. They deserve to know what's being said or taught to their children in the classroom. We know that there's an open border, and I know that the biggest national security threat is if those terrorists come into America and we have another 9/11. We've got to do everything we can to stop it. And we know that there are threats abroad, and America can never be so arrogant to think that we don't need friends or that that can't happen to us. We need to make sure we have someone who's going to keep Americans safe. And I think that what we're seeing is Iowans, Granite Staters, and South Carolinians are seeing that. They don't want a President Kamala Harris. They want someone that's going to bring sanity back. And they want someone who's ready to sit there and work and serve them. And I'm going to do that. And that's why I think we're doing that. When it comes to, everything else, we're seeing we're second in Iowa, second in New Hampshire, second in South Carolina. There's one more we got to overcome. We'll do that too.
Ambassador Hayley.
When you look at the chaos in Congress right now, the inability to elect a speaker, especially in a time of crisis when urgent action from Congress would be needed, how would you, if you were in the Oval Office right now, handle that, bring some unity to the Republican Party? And are you concerned that this inaction from the GOP might have some consequences for Republicans in 2024?
You know what I'll tell you, when I was governor, and we had a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and they would butt heads, I would bring them into my office and I would say, we're not leaving until you figure this out. This doesn't need to play out for Americans to see. It needs to play out behind closed doors. They don't need to leave until they fix this. They don't need to get paid until they fix this. What I will remind my fellow Republicans is you don't fix Democrat chaos with Republican chaos. Get it together, get us a leader. If you look at what's happened in Congress, they have one job, and that's to get us a budget. And here you have, they have only given a budget on time 4 times in 40 years. We have not seen action from Congress on the border, on the budget, on bringing down debt, on trying to make sure that we get legal immigration, or in dealing with all of these other issues. When America is distracted, the world is less safe. We are seeing that play out. Get it together. It's not about you. It's about the American people. And the American people are done with this. They need to get in a room and not leave until they figure this out.
Ambassador Hayley.
Yes, right here.
Ambassador Hayley, you call to increase campaign transparency in campaign finance. So as president, how will you increase that transparency?
Well, I think, I believe in transparency in anything. So, in campaign finance, you should see everything. That's the bottom line. If you can see it, then that gives you more information. So we will always make sure that everything is available to be seen and that you can see exactly what's going on. I think that informs voters, and I think that makes for good decisions. Yes, back to
Massachusetts lawmakers are trying to house all the migrants that are arriving in the states. They're struggling under it. They're trying to allocate millions of more dollars to do it. I guess, how would you assist states in that problem that they're facing on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, the way I would assist states with the problems of this massive influx of illegal immigrants is to close the border. And the way we would close the border is, first of all, you close it. Secondly, we'd put 25,000 more Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. We need to defund sanctuary cities once and for all. We need to go back to the Remain in Mexico policy, and instead of catch and release, we need to go to catch and deport. It came out that of all the people that came through, 1,000 of them came from Lebanon, Yemen, and Iran. That doesn't even count Afghanistan. Look at what happened to Israel. Look at what happened to Israel. Don't think as Americans on September 10th. Think about being Americans on September 12th. We've got to get our focus back. We've got to start really paying attention to what matters. It is a dereliction of duty what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done on this border. It's not just the southern border. Ask the Granite Staters, it's the northern border. The fact that we've had more Americans die than the Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam wars combined. Number one cause of death for adults 18 to 45, fentanyl. And don't think for a second China doesn't know what they're doing when they send it over.
Ambassador,
Yes, back in the-
I just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond. Yesterday, Governor DeSantis was critical of the United Nations, referred to it as a worthless organization, said it sanctions Israel too much. And I just, given your history there, I would like to give you an opportunity to respond to that. What do you think of those criticisms?
It is a worthless organization. They do get on Israel too much. It has been a farce. It's the reason why I fought as hard as I was. But if you look at the time that I served there, what did I do? I took the kick me sign off of our backs, and America was respected again. Every day, I dealt with the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, the Syrians, the Palestinians, the Israelis. I have dealt with all of them. I've had to negotiate with all of them. I know when they're telling the truth, and I know when they're lying. We got respect at the United Nations because I told I told these countries what America was for and what America was against. I didn't care if they didn't like me, but I wanted them to respect America. That's what we'll do as president.
Ambassador, have you been in touch with Israeli officials since the attack, and what have you been doing?
So she asked if I had been in touch with Israeli officials since the attack. I sent my message to Netanyahu, which was finish them. And then I have been in touch with my former friend and colleague, Ambassador Danny Jones.
Ambassador, what do you make of Vivek Ramaswamy saying that Trump's comments about Hezbollah and Netanyahu make sense, that you can be very smart and evil? And what do you think your fellow candidates should be saying right now in response to Trump's comments? Should everyone call him out for what he said?
I mean, Ramaswamy sounds like the Squad. And there's no place for the Squad or Ramaswamy in their comments, whether it's related to Israel or Hezbollah or any of that. You don't congratulate or give any credit to murderers, period. You don't. What you do is you call them out, and you don't do just words, you do action. That's what Israel's trying to do. We need to have Israel's back. You don't just have Israel's back when they get hit. We need to have Israel's back when they hit back too. And so that's what I'm going to do. That's the focus that we need to have. An American president needs to always have moral clarity. You have to know the difference between right and wrong. You have to know the difference between good and evil. This is a stark contrast between good and evil. We need to be able to see that for what it is and act accordingly.
Ambassador, what's your reaction to the call to protest today by Hamas' former leader?
I mean, look, when you look at the leader of Hamas, what did he say? He said he wanted people to come out today with anger. He said that he wanted them to show financial jihad. He wanted them to give money to the terrorist organization. But he said, more than money, what we want from you is to give your blood and your souls. That is what we're talking about. Everybody needs to be vigilant today. No one needs to be scared. We don't run from anyone that tries to intimidate us. We are a blessed country. My husband is serving right now, along with a lot of military men and women that allow us the freedom of speech we have. We believe in freedom of speech. Freedom of speech should always be there. Freedom of violence should not. And so anytime that we see anything that could be violent, I hope law enforcement will make sure they handle it accordingly.
Mr. Hayley, just to go back to New Hampshire, can you describe what is the most challenging question you've gotten from an actual voter in New Hampshire?
You know, someone asked me about debate prep, and I said the best debate prep I have is these town halls, because we don't filter questions. We let them ask everything that they want. And really what I can tell you that I have gotten from Granite Staters, overwhelmingly, they really feel inflation. They feel it at the gas pump, they feel it at the grocery store, but they feel it in the fact that they can't afford housing and they can't get homes, and that rent is expensive and all of that. They really care about transparency in the classroom. Parents are worried that they don't know what's being said or taught to their child. They're very worried about the border. They feel fentanyl in a big way. You have an amazing veteran community in New Hampshire. I feel that personally. If you look at what's happened with veterans, 33,000 of our veterans are homeless in America. 1 in 3 suffers from PTSD or thoughts of suicide. We lose 22 heroes a day to suicide. If you look, if a veteran needs a doctor's appointment, on average it takes 29 days. Why 29 days? Because on the 30th day, they get to go to the doctor or hospital of their choice. So what happens is midway through the 29 days, they get a call to reschedule, and it starts all over again. It is shameful the way we deal with our veterans, and I'm gonna make sure we fix it. We're gonna fix it by helping them in the transition. We're gonna fix it by having telehealth so that they can get mental health care when they need it. We're gonna fix it by making sure their GI benefits go to more than just education. And we're gonna fix it by making sure that they can go to the doctor or hospital of their choice. And the way I think we take care of their health care is I think every member of Congress should get their health care from the VA. And you watch how fast that gets
We're going to take
fixed.
two more questions.
Governor,
Governor.
earlier this week, Will Hurd, the former congressman, dropped out of the race. He endorsed you. Is it time for some of the other long shots in this race to maybe call it quits?
Well, Will Hurd's been a great American, and I think, you know, whether he's worked for our intelligence agencies or served in Congress, I was honored to get his support, and I appreciate it. In terms of consolidating the field, that is not for me to say. I appreciate every candidate that stood on that stage. It takes a lot from them and their families to do it. I think it's up to the voters, and I think it's up to the donors to decide which candidate should get off the stage.
Governor, a
Last
lot of your supporters say that you're their second choice and that they support Donald Trump first. Is that something that your campaign is banking on, for Donald Trump to be knocked out of, the race, and that your supporters can then choose you?
I don't hear that. What I hear is when I go to the town halls, no one's asking me about Donald Trump. They're talking about the issues that affect them. What they care about is getting our country back on track. And we're doing that. The momentum is real. You see it. I don't need to tell you. Look at the polls, but talk to the people here on the ground in New Hampshire. We have a lot of people that say that, yes, they support President Trump, but that doesn't mean they're voting for him. What I'm doing is, it's not about anybody else in the race for me. It's about what are we going to do to get America back on track. Americans deserve it. I don't want my kids growing up in a country the way it is right now. I don't want them feeling this chaos, and I want to make sure that they're safe. I'm going to do everything I can to earn the support of every American in this country, but then I'm going to work hard to prove to them they made the right decision. We have to make America strong and proud again, and when I'm president, we'll make sure and do that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay, guys.
All right, everyone, clear the room. We're moving out. Let's go. Come on, everybody.
The camera's